So I was on a call today with a friend, and the same thing happened 3 times. Once involving my friend, once involving me, and then once involving a third party. And because it came up and it became quite an interesting conversation, so I decided to make that at least the introduction for today's topic. And that is, when stuff goes wrong, no matter how big or small, why do we consistently shirk responsibility for that thing? So the first time this happened, my friend's got 2 friends with the same name on a WhatsApp. And she accidentally put a space in between the first name and surname on one of them. And every time she saw that message come up, she couldn't really identify what the mistake was, but there was something just kind of like jarring or distorted when it popped up. It was like, why is that? But until she saw both names side by side, she didn't actually notice that it was the fact that she put an extra space in. But every time she saw that name come up and felt that distortion, she ended up externalizing it onto that individual. It's like, why do I feel this way every time that name pops up? And it took her till today to realize, to actually take responsibility and realize it's because I made that mistake. I've put in that extra space. And yet I'm somehow blaming her for this, though she had no control over it. And it started this kind of conversation about taking responsibility and these internal biases that we have that just come out of nowhere, that we're unaware of. And then, like, literally half an hour later, I was talking about how I've got a Calendly call for 11 p.m. till midnight. And I thought I'd set the settings up so I would never have a call past 10 p.m. But somehow they'd managed to beat the system and managed to worm their way into a late call. And she called me out on it. She called me out on it instantly and said, like, I was just doing exactly the same thing. Instead of taking responsibility or even looking at the settings or taking responsibility for the fact that I'm in control of whether I have calls at 11 till 12, I was externalizing onto this person and booking it as if it was their fault when they were just clicking the link and going through the process. They had no idea what I'd supposedly set. And it made me think about and realize that, well, certainly me personally, and I would imagine society at large, we don't really take responsibility for things when they go wrong. And with that awareness, I've been able to look back over my own life and just seen those small circumstances where maybe something has been off, or I've been wrong or incorrect. I've done something maybe, not crazy wrong, but wrong enough. And I've tried to cover for myself by making some kind of external-based excuse. And then there's the third example which came up on Facebook within a community group that I'm part of. And the community's rules within this group, and I'm going to bring it up next to me here, are that because it's a mental health group and people sharing stories, looking for advice and guidance and support, right, it's a community that is rife, or was rife, with people promoting their own stuff. Like, for example, me promoting my YouTube channel. And so they kind of made it so you weren't allowed to share any kind of external links, any potential promotional links or anything like that, apart from on the free-for-all Fridays. But somebody did, and it got taken down by the admins. And then they posted up a second thing, and this is what it said. I don't know how to message admins, so I'm doing it here. Was surprised to see that the last post was declined. It's not self-promotion, it's a video talking about being diagnosed with a complex mental health problem after 2 years of battling with the NHS, which people have found useful. I thought it was a group to talk about mental health? ? First response. Yes, whoever declined it must be a stupid person for doing that, as this is a group for people to talk about their mental illness. And then, of course, the admins came in. First of all, that's not a very kind way to speak about the admins of this group. They work very hard voluntarily. The post was declined with good intentions. The rules are for everyone, not just a select few people. The same guy who hosted it posted, it's just a really flawed approach to suggest it's self-promotion and to say I'm promoting a YouTube channel, which is 3 videos on in 5 years. If I choose to talk about my mental health in a video, that's how I like to express myself. Back to the admin, my point is if I allow your video, I'll have to allow everybody's videos to keep transparency in the group. And that's not what we want, etc., etc. And it got to a point where the original poster was like, it's okay, I'm sure your heart is in it, but with the admins all piling on to back up, like your comment, I think it's not the group for me. I'm looking for a supportive group and not a clique. Apologies, I'm not the right fit, buddy. I work with mental health professionals and deliver mental health projects. I was here to help with personal experience, right? Threatening to leave if he didn't get his own way. And ultimately, blaming the admins, blaming the group, blaming the rules that he wasn't able to share his thing, when realistically, this was on Tuesday. There's free for all Fridays when people can post whatever you want. Just wait till Friday. Right, how refreshing would it have been if he'd have owned his mistake and said, oh, so sorry about that. I didn't realize that this was against the rules. It wasn't self-promotional, but I get the external links thing. I'll repost it on Friday. Or take the opportunity to do a Facebook Live or change it into a post that's relevant. Instead of externalizing that pain and criticizing and attacking other people. And the truth is, I have no idea why we do this as it stands. I would guess there's some stuff around kind of ego and, admitting that we were wrong in this instance is somehow admitting that we are a flawed individual, and something about identity and how being wrong could mean like, oh, I am wrong all the time, and creating that self-identity. The truth is, I don't know. But it's something I'm going to explore. And I've enlisted the help of my partner, Rebecca. So next week, look out for a podcast session when Rebecca and I look at ways that and I am going to put an influence on men, but we in general, why we tend to not take responsibility for the things when we've done them wrong. So come back next week and check it out while we'll explore this podcast and see if we can get you some answers to create awareness and see if we can start taking responsibility for more shit in our lives. More stuff in our lives. And I'll see you tomorrow.